Perhaps due to the sufficient severity of the losses incurred during this operation, the return journey was free of any accidents. At the zenith of Changxingyang Continent's sky, just before the two parties separated, Song Kai managed to obtain the sand of time he desired, a precise amount of 5 kilograms. Shi Man and the others once again expressed their heartfelt gratitude, after which both parties went their separate ways. One group headed back to North Street while Song Kai made his way to Star Avenue. Having just acquired 5 kilograms of sand of time, Song Kai was keen to enhance the Purusha Zen seal component as quickly as possible. As Kang Chong's highest quality component at present, and possibly for the next several years, decades, or even centuries, elevating its enhancement level sooner rather than later was ideal. However, considering that 20 days had passed, he grew curious about how many starry sea oddities Song Yufeng had acquired and whether any of them were of orange or red quality. His urgency was due to his pressing need for these strange objects to expand his ruins market shop. The upcoming ruins market trade, which would be the first since advancing to third rank, was bound to be substantial. With a significant increase in the number of spatial gates deployed and third-rank alien species now able to enter the market, the trade was guaranteed to be good, possibly even bringing unexpected surprises for him. To maximize the chances of seizing these potential surprises, Song Kai needed to prepare ample trading funds and attractive merchandise. Only then could his competitive edge extend beyond just the ability to use Ruins Market guest tokens and Ruins Market walking rank. Dragon Spine Shops, Song Yufeng's personal office. This seasoned third-rank torch captain was aglow with spectral energy, which surged through his whole body. His forehead's ancestral aperture suddenly opened, releasing numerous glowing orbs of various colors. In the blink of an eye, the amount of starry sea oddities Song Yufeng extracted exceeded 3 figures. Although white and blue oddities were the majority, there were also not a few of purple quality and above. Out of them, 10 caught Song Chi's attention the most. 3 red, 7 orange, deep sea crown, phantom disc, golden halberd spear, red flame sword, geomagnetic shield, stone heart, phoenix feather, tree essence core. Seeing these 10 oddities, Song Kai could hardly contain his joy. They were the confidence boost he needed for his first third-rank trade. After meticulously storing these oddities away, Song Kai asked, "Do we still have enough floating land origin?" Song Yufeng nodded. Acquiring these only used up 1/10 of the funds. The floating land origin His Highness provided will support us for quite some time. Without further inquiry, Song Kai turned and sincerely thanked him. Although he was part of the family sequence, Song Yufeng was under no obligation to manage these affairs for him. Such purchasing tasks took considerable time, and well aware of this, Song Kai did not take it for granted. While Song Yufeng outwardly showed no reaction to Song Chi's thanks, inwardly he felt gratified. Given that his own family was also well off, the real reason he had assisted Song Kai so diligently was to cultivate goodwill. Even if he wouldn't benefit directly, it could pave an additional path for his good-for-nothing descendants in the future. Zhu Tian Ruins Market. Song Kai occupied a battleship summoning room located beneath the Dragon Spine Shops and immediately entered the market. With the market's advancement to third rank, the free trading area no longer required parking the colossal Kang Chong at a 45-degree angle. Now, with dimensions almost twice that of Kang Chong, space was ample enough for docking more than 5 cruisers simultaneously. In the battleship's main control room, lights flickered constantly as Song Kai went about enhancing the Purusha Zen seal component. He had already withdrawn his entire annual sequence subsidy, and currently, resources were plentiful. "Do you confirm spending 30 strands of third-rank floating land origin plus 65 titanium crystals plus 185 grams of sand of time to enhance Purusha Zen seal from LV30 to LV31? Confirmed. After 10 consecutive attempts, Song Kai had 885 fewer titanium crystals and 2,085 grams less sand of time. However, the Purusha Zen seal component had reached LV40. Purusha Zen seal LV40 quality. Gold. Feature 4. Time Resistance plus 5200. Effect. When the equipped battleship is targeted by external time laws, its attacks will autonomously weaken by 50% of their might. Zen Seal. External Time Stop. Consumes 100,000 spectral energy points, targets units within a 1,000 kilometers radius, halting time around them for 5s, with a cooldown time of 400 hours. Pusuo Time Realm. Slow. Consumes 250,000 spectral energy points, forms a time barrier with a diameter of 10,000 kilometers centered on the equipped battleship. Within the barrier, time is slowed by a factor of 8, affecting all movements, reactions, thoughts, and energy transfers of biological entities. Note: the battleship that casts the barrier is unaffected, lasting for 15 minutes with a cooldown time of 6 years. Although the attributes of the Purusha Zen Seal enhanced to LV40 were impressive, Song Kai still wanted to continue enhancing it. Alas, he had only 1,000 titanium crystals left, insufficient to push the component to LV50. Thus, he shifted his focus to other components. Eventually, the Peeping Spirit Eyes component reached LV50. As the eyes of a torch warship, Song Kai naturally wouldn't allow the space radar to be Kang Chong's weak point. However, after upgrading this component, his high-rank resources were nearly depleted again. This made him abandon any further thoughts of enhancing the God-binding chains, imitation component for the time being. He would have to wait for another opportunity. Though he coveted the real divine binding chains, since he couldn't obtain them immediately, he had to settle for this imitation from Wang Zhen for now, just recently enhanced to LV30. After handling all the enhancement work, Song Kai retracted the Kang Chong, excitedly heading toward the side of the ruins market. Soon after, the LV-34 Ultra-Long-Distance Space Gate random deployment platform was successfully activated. In just 2 seconds, more than 100 swirling portals materialized outside the gates of the ruins market. This also signified that the first ruins market transaction since ascending to 3rd rank had officially begun. Of course, before this, Song Kai had already placed the hundreds of strange objects he had recently obtained into the oddity exchange shop, confident that they would be especially popular this time. Time passed, and a few more minutes went by. Finally, one of the portals was activated. Then, a creature with a human upper body and a fishtail, wielding a sharp spear, and with an entirely black body stepped out from the portal. The moment Song Kai saw this figure, he felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. This creature was extremely similar to the merfolk he had seen before. However, after observing closely, he quickly realized his mistake. No. Not merfolk, but rather the even rarer deep-sea Naga clan. After scrutinizing it several times, Song Kai came to a final conclusion. The humanoid fish-tailed alien species entering the ruins market was indeed not merfolk, but the deep-sea Naga clan. But this wasn't important, because whether it was merfolk or Naga clan, they were both species that lived in bodies of water all year round, which meant that only those starry sea-floating lands with vast water areas could nurture such tribes. The only thing on Song Chi's mind right now was the phrase, deep-sea clam pearl. Since they were from a water-based floating land, it was inevitable that they would not lack deep-sea clam pearls, a type of collectible. For the torch ship captain, this item was one of the most valuable among several special resources. Just don't know what rank the starry sea floating land behind this 2nd rank Naga is. I hope it's as high as possible. Murmuring to himself, Song Kai noticed that the wary 2nd rank deep-sea Naga had scanned the rules displayed on the ruins market's entrance light screen and quickly turned to return to the previously entered portal, disappearing into the market. Seeing this, he was not disappointed, on the contrary, he was pleased. This meant that the 2nd rank Naga was not a lone traveler and might have a team behind her, or even a sizable tribe, which was absolutely good news for Song Kai. Not long after the Naga left, other portals were activated, and one after another, familiar and unfamiliar alien species continued to appear in the ruins market. Half an hour later, The ruins market was already bustling, with more than 1,000 creatures from various star domains having converged. Among them, there were over 100 from the third-rank level Starry Sea alien race, who wandered between the free stall area and various shops, spending generously each time. Compared with those second-rank and lower alien species, the third-rank level Starry Sea alien race were indeed all quite wealthy. Just from the oddity exchange shop alone, Song Kai received dozens of strands of fourth-rank level floating land origin, all of which were obtained from trade with several third-rank alien species for purple relics. Time ticked away, and 2 hours later, Song Kai saw the figures of the Deep Sea Naga clan again. However, this time it was not the previous second-rank Naga but over 100 swarmingly entering the market. Among this group of more than 100 Nagas, there were no fewer than 10 at the third-rank level. Song Kai was delighted. With this, it was likely that these deep-sea Nagas not only came from the same large Naga tribe, but the floating land they lived on was at least a third-level peak or even fourth or fifth level. It is common knowledge that normal third-level and below Starry Sea floating lands find it very difficult to nurture groups of indigenous species with 10 or more third-rank beings. Song Kai, who had already prepared everything, approached immediately in the guise of a member of the Blue Blood clan. "Hello, if I'm not mistaken, you belong to the Deep Sea Naga clan?" A standard Starry Sea universal language greeting, which promptly received a response from a third-rank level Deep Sea Naga. "Yes, may I ask if you need something?" As the other party was fluent in Starry Sea universal language, handling the following matters naturally became easier. Song Kai swiftly began to take out various items from the storage he carried with him. These were things he always carried that might be attractive to aquatic species. His sole purpose was the deep sea clam pearls, the very old deep sea clam pearls. The result didn't disappoint, as out of the large pile of items he presented, several caught the attention of the deep sea Nagas. "Do you have more of these resources? We are willing to purchase them in large quantities at the current market price, and we will pay with the deep sea clam pearls you requested." Of course, as a veteran merchant who has been trading in the Zutian ruins market for over a decade, you need not doubt the supply of goods at my disposal. The key to this transaction is how many deep sea clam pearls you can offer, and the older the better. With these resources as leverage, Song Kai continued to converse with the third-rank Naga opposite him while his thoughts subtly shifted. The next second, the third-rank humanoid alien race that was left in the summoning room of the warship outside, swiftly came out of the ground and rushed to Song Yufeng's office. There, the humanoid alien quickly relayed the names of the corresponding resources. Song Yufeng, who had been entrusted by Song Kai, quickly understood and issued orders for the allocation and rapid collection of these resources directly from his office. Thereafter, multiple covert channels within the Dragon Spine shops were activated, and a great quantity of the relevant resources began flooding towards Dragon Spine shops from the market, only to be sent into the ruins market by the third-rank humanoid alien. Inside the ruins market, seeing the astonishing quantity of resources casually produced by Song Kai, many third-rank deep-sea Nagas from the deep-sea tribes were shocked. They thought they had already esteemed Song Kai, under the identity of a Blue Blood, highly. After all, he was a seasoned merchant who had been mingling in the mysterious Zutian ruins market for many years, and handsomely wealthy. Even so, Song Chi's terrifying initiative still collectively stunned them. Just the few resources he had taken out at present were worth far more than the funds they brought with them, not to mention only the deep sea clam pearls. Accompanying their shock was a well-disguised excitement. Because the resources in front of them were exactly what the forces behind them were desperately lacking, even scarce throughout their entire sea area. If they could get their hands on all these resources, they could easily sell them for 5 to 10 times the price back home, thereby making a fortune. Several third-rank Nagas exchanged glances, and then one of the recently ascended third-rank Nagas quickly turned and swiftly left the ruins market, obviously to arrange for more funds. As for the subtle maneuvers in their eyes, Song Kai, as the lord of the ruins market, saw them clearly. He, however, did not plan to raise the price on the fly. Because the current selling price of the few resources was already 10 times the purchase price from Dragon Spine shops, and moreover, what he truly valued were the deep-sea clam pearls they had. He had to make sure they profited too, otherwise the deal would not last. While waiting, Song Kai inquired tentatively, "Excuse me for asking, but what is the rank of the floating land behind you? I mean no other implication. Just want to see if we have the potential to trade continuously in the future. And allow me to introduce myself. My name is Twogu, coming from a level 5 starry sea floating land, and the civilization behind me is not lacking in heritage. A level 5 floating land is far from the highest, so you understand, brother, that the energy I can mobilize is quite considerable." Across, several third-rank Nagas looked at each other before one of them spoke indifferently. "You can rest assured, mister, the starry sea floating land behind us is by no means weak. If possible, our trade can continue, of course, provided that the Lord of the Ruins Market is willing to issue new Ruins Market guest tokens and travel commands." Song Chi's expression remained unchanged, but inwardly he already had an idea. After hearing that he was from a 5th-rank starry sea floating land and still managing such a calm and positive response, he guessed that the floating land behind the other party was also very likely not below 5th rank. In such a case, both parties naturally had the basis for long-term transactions. As for the Ruins Market guest token and Ruins Market walking rank, he had plenty of ways to let the other party get one themselves. As time passed, it only took dozens of minutes for the 3rd-rank Naga who had left to return, bringing with it dozens more of the Naga clan, including more than 5 that were 3rd-rank Naga. Song Chi's gaze narrowed slightly as he focused on one seemingly unremarkable 3rd-rank Naga. Half-step 4th rank. He could feel the half-step 4th rank life energy fluctuations emanating from this Naga, as well as an even more subtle and powerful energy hidden within its body, which, if he was not mistaken, should be the power of laws that it had comprehended. As a member of the deep-sea tribes, the law of water, or the law of darkness? After guessing silently in his heart, his interest in this Naga grew even more. Not only because its strength was currently the limit for entering the Ruins Market, but also because it was gifted. Even Torchlight humanity, a civilization that was prominent even among the advanced civilizations, called citizens who could perceive the law by 3rd-rank stage geniuses. What more for those low-rank civilizations? He was sure that this half-step 4th-rank Naga must have a remarkable status within the force behind it. However, before he could think further, the newly arrived Nagas took out a staggering number of deep-sea clam pearls from their bodies. 300-year, 500-year, 700-year, 1,000-year. Clam pearls of all kinds of ages were available. Song Kai gathered his spiritual focus and quickly began counting the hundreds to thousands of deep-sea clam pearls. Meanwhile, he also didn't forget to keep a part of his spiritual attention on monitoring that half-step 4th-rank Naga. Sure enough, before long it began wandering around the free stall area of the Ruins Market on its own. Song Kai had no choice but to continue surveillance from a god's eye view while quickly counting the deep-sea clam pearls, which he found delightfully numerous. A few minutes later, the counting was done. 248 clam pearls of 300 years. 52 clam pearls of 500 years. 24 clam pearls of 700 years. 14 clam pearls of 1,000 years. 5 clam pearls of 3,000 years. 2 clam pearls of 5,000 years. A total of 345 clam pearls. Indeed a stunning number. But the joy in Song Chi's heart was far from intense. For him, whose guidance technique had already broken through to LV32, the current clam pearls of 1,000 years or less were actually of no use to him. In fact, the truly useful ones were only the 5 3,000-year clam pearls and the 2 5,000-year clam pearls. Of course, they were of no use to him, but he still took them all. Why not, when they could be used by his father, mother, Song Ting, and the tribespeople within his pulse? After a rough estimate, he found the value of these clam pearls to be somewhat less than the various resources he had taken out. After all, With Song Yufeng's full operation, he now had a frightening amount of various resources at his disposal. Moreover, the key was that Dragon Spine Shop's purchasing was still ongoing. The Starry Sea floating land encompasses nearly half of Chengxingyang continent, where numerous torch ship captains resided, and the number of resources there was horrendously immense. In a short time, Dragon Spine Shops had spent millions of low-rank floating land origin, amassing countless resources. In order to put the minds of these Nagas at ease, Song Kai first handed over corresponding valued resources to them. After all, this was their first time entering the ruins market, and even if backed by the Booth of Regulations, they still couldn't trust it completely. By physically handing over these items to them now, the Nagas could let go of their guard entirely. After a few third-rank Nagas returned all resources to the outside, Song Kai continued. And these remaining? Do you still want them? Furthermore, I have quite a few more that could be brought over within a few hours. What do you think? The group of third-rank Nagas could hardly conceal the joy in their eyes and quickly began to discuss the subsequent transaction scheme with Song Kai. According to them, there weren't any deep-sea clam pearls left in the royal court backing them. It was just that gathering them from various sea regions would take time. They needed at least until the next transaction, which is 1 month later, to continue the trade with deep-sea clam pearls. Therefore, both parties could only temporarily switch to other currencies for the transaction. In the end, Song Kai decided on second rank and above floating land origin as the trading currency. He initially wanted to set it directly to third or even fourth rank floating land origin, but the other party didn't agree. The higher the rank of the floating land origin, the scarcer it was in any power or civilization. While Song Kai was negotiating with the others, that half-step fourth rank level Naga crossed the free stall area and started going in and out of various shops. Its expression remained unchanged, as if all the items it had seen before completely failed to catch its eye until it walked into the oddity exchange shop. The face that had shown no change in emotion for dozens of minutes suddenly displayed shock. It stood still at the entrance of the shop, staring dazedly at the various radiance cast down from directly above the store. Blue, purple, orange, red. This sudden burst of colorful light dazzled the creature. Even for someone of its status, seeing so many high-rank Starry Sea oddities at once was hard to remain calm. Yet, what truly astonished it the most was the super battleship cannon in the center of the shop, emitting resplendent golden light. Gold. A golden sanctuary wondrous item. For the ordinary Starry Sea alien race, the understanding of a golden sanctuary wondrous item might just be limited to the word rare. But for a being with its origin, it's the one that truly comprehends how scarce a golden sanctuary wondrous item really is. Simply put, to breed a golden oddity, even a 7th-rank Starry Sea floating land would find it difficult, requiring an ancient being that has reached the status of a dominator, nurturing with the power of domination over a long span of time to possibly give rise to one. Or, it could be achieved by an 8th-rank Starry Sea floating land. Speaking of 8th-rank Starry Sea floating lands, those of the 7th-rank level are already as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns in the entire shattered Starry Sea, let alone an even higher rank, the 8th-rank floating land. It's said that even a small river system community would struggle to find a single piece of 8th-rank floating land after exhausting all its resources. From this, one can understand the rarity of the 8th-rank Starry Sea floating land, and by the same logic, the golden sanctuary wondrous items that are mostly bred by 8th-rank floating lands are also extremely rare. Suppressing the storm of shock in its heart, the half-step 4th-rank Naga clan turned its gaze to the other, orange quality and red quality strange objects in the oddity exchange shop. It saw many that were extremely suitable for them, the Naga. After spending nearly an hour in the oddity exchange shop and exiting, the half-step 4th-rank Naga clan browsed through several other shops at the fastest speed. Eventually, it took one of each of the 3 types of storage capsules and quickly left the ruins market. As Song Kai observed the emotional changes of the half-step 4th-rank Naga clan from beginning to end, his eyes shone with curiosity, wondering whether it would bring him some pleasant surprises upon its return. From close to 2 hours of observation, he was almost certain that this Naga's identity was not ordinary, not just because of the difference brought about by the half-step fourth-rank power, but from the essence of difference revealed through its vision and behavior. Because of this, Song Kai indeed had some faint anticipation. However, since the other Naga had already taken out many things for trade, his expectations were not too great. He merely thought that the good items they had were probably not much remaining. Endless Sea Territory, North Sea Royal Court. As one of the Deep Sea royal families of the Endless Sea Territory, the Naga clan is divided into 4 major royal courts based on their geographical distribution, and the North Sea Royal Court is one of them. However, having already lost the combat power of the last Deep Sea True King tens of thousands of years ago, the North Sea Royal Court is now the weakest of the 4 courts. Over tens of thousands of years, the days have not been easy, and their jurisdiction's territory has been continuously shrinking. Luckily, the other 3 royal courts have not kicked them while they were down, occasionally lending support, which has enabled the North Sea Royal Court to maintain its current size. On this day, a half-step 4th-rank member of the Naga clan came from outside the North Sea Royal Palace, speeding all the way towards the massive doors of the palace that appeared both illusory and real. Seeing this, the intimidating royal court guards did not dare to stop it. "Third Highness, Her Majesty the Queen summons you to enter." In the main hall of the North Sea Royal Palace, a female Naga over 10 meters tall, with a face exuding the majestic presence of a superior, spoke indifferently. "Daguan, my son, state your purpose." Facing her son, the female Naga on the throne did not show any tenderness. Her tone was indifferent, as if she was questioning a stranger who had intruded. As the reigning North Sea Queen of the Naga, she had too many offspring. Although Daguan was excellent enough to be ranked among the top 3, she still found it hard to pour much emotion into him, for what the North Sea Royal Court needed was not a tender mother-son relationship, but a deep-sea true king strong enough to deter the many different starry sea alien races around them. "Mother." Daguan recounted in detail what he had seen and heard in the ruins market, emphasizing the existence of the Golden Holy Domain warship cannon. As expected, once the words Golden Sanctuary were uttered, the female Naga at the head of the main hall was immediately attracted by sufficient interest. However, the light in her eyes quickly dimmed again. The gold ship cannon, being a weapon, was inevitably a trump card that could help the royal court turn the tide. Yet, the North Sea Royal Court of today was not what it used to be. They no longer had an oddity of equal value to trade or borrow from others. "Daguan, you know that the royal court has already." Having considered for a long time, Daguan interrupted his mother and said instead, "Of course, your son understands, but what I am referring to is not this gold ship cannon, but those red and orange oddities in the ruins market. Among these oddities, I have seen weapons perfectly suited for our Naga, such as the red epic relic, Deep Sea Crown. Its main ability is dominion over the ocean. Mother, if you were to wear it, you could surely exhibit peak 6th rank combat power. Moreover, if we add the Golden Halberd Spear and the North King Ice Armor you already possess, I believe we would be capable of contending with any being below a true king of the deep sea. With this, our North Sea Royal Court could certainly stabilize the current situation. We would simply need to wait for you to advance further, and then we could restore our former glory." His assertive words quickened the heartbeat of the female Naga at the head of the main hall. She could tell that her third son was not making empty promises. After a moment of contemplation, she frowned and said, "Daguan, do you mean to offer up the royal court's Mirage Dragon Pearl? It's the last foundation our North Sea Royal Court has relied on to persist until today. Are you sure that the Deep Sea Crown and Golden Halberd Spear are truly that influential?" Daguan shook his head. "Mother, aside from those 2, there is also a red curio called Phantasmal Disc, which shares a similar marvelous function with the Mirage Dragon Pearl. It too can conceal the presence of our North Sea Royal Palace. Although it is not as strong as the Mirage Dragon Pearl, it won't be much inferior. Additionally, beyond these 3 red epic treasures, Your son will strive to acquire more orange oddities, as well as a Ruins Market walking rank. That will allow unlimited access to that mysterious Ruins Market in the future. At the head of the main hall, the female Naga's brow furrowed tightly, her hesitation palpable. Concerning the last foundation of the royal court, we should still call the royal court devotees to discuss it together. Before she could finish speaking, Daguan once again interrupted. Mother, you are aware of the devotees in the royal court. They are all of the kind who are set in their ways. If we were to let them discuss it, the outcome will surely not be approved. Please, Mother, make your decision with care. The brow of the female Naga was still tightly locked, and she did not reply for a long time. The main hall fell into silence momentarily. Daguan had been shrewd and decisive since childhood, and he rarely made mistakes in his judgments. This was the very reason the North Sea Queen was torn. If it were another Naga who had come, she would have coldly dismissed them. But Daguan was different. After a great deal of indecision, the North Sea Queen's eyes suddenly became resolute, as if she had made up her mind. So be it. The Central Royal Court and the Southern Royal Court are currently entangled in a standoff with the Blackline Whale clan and would find it difficult to spare help for us. Rather than letting the entire Royal Court succumb to a slow demise, it's better to bet everything we have. After her murmured words, she waved her hand, and a massive amount of the Law of Darkness spilled from her body. Shortly after, a black sphere emitting sparkling silver light materialized out of thin air in the royal palace. The moment he saw this sphere, excitement surged into Gwen's eyes. This sphere was a silver legendary oddity, passed down from the second-generation true king of the North Sea, nearly 100,000 years ago. It was the very reason why their North Sea royal court could barely hold on for tens of thousands of years after losing a deep sea's true king's combat power. However, this thing could only protect itself. Its biggest drawback was the lack of offensive capabilities. Almost instinctively, Daguan's gaze fixed on the black sphere. Oddity. Mirage Dragon Pearl. Quality. Silver. Even though he had seen it many times before, every time Daguan laid eyes on the silver legendary oddity that had been inherited for nearly 100,000 years, his gaze would involuntarily focus entirely upon it, as if this black sphere was everything in the world. The Mirage Dragon Pearl, as the name suggests, was formed from the life-bound dragon pearl of a pure-blooded Mirage dragon. According to the royal court records, it was an accidental discovery by the original North Sea True King, though when first found, it was merely a red curio. After long periods of nurturing by the first and second North Sea True Kings, it finally transformed into a silver legendary oddity. Gazing at this dreamlike sphere, Daguan first bowed respectfully to his mother seated at the head, very aware of the tremendous courage needed to make this decision and understanding the trust his mother, the current North Sea Queen, had placed in him. He absolutely couldn't let his mother down. Swearing to himself in his heart, he then took the black sphere into a storage capsule and quickly turned around. Zhu Tian Ruins Market. After nearly an hour's wait, Song Kai had even thought that the half-step fourth-rank Naga wouldn't return, but in the end, she did not disappoint him. Seeing her head directly for the oddity exchange shop upon entering the market, with clear intent, Song Kai immediately grew interested, his spiritual focus dividing into two and converging upon her. Even with high expectations, when the half-step fourth-rank Naga took out the sphere emitting a dazzling silver light, Song Chi's heart still trembled mightily. Silver legend. He hadn't expected at all that the item she brought out for exchange would be a silver legendary oddity. Once he regained his composure, his spiritual quickly rotated. The origin law of the Ruins Market combined with his own spectral energy quickly focused on the black sphere, and subsequently, two attribute panels appeared before his eyes. Strange object. Mirage Dragon Pearl. Quality. Silver. Convertible. Mirage Transformation Pearl of Mirage Dragon. Note. Transformed from the life-bound dragon pearl of a pure-blood Mirage Dragon, nurtured by two beings at half-step 7th rank for 10,000 years, ultimately becoming a silver legendary oddity. Mirage Transformation Pearl LV0 Quality, Silver. Feature. Ever-changing Feature 2, Mirage Shadow Feature 3, plus 1000 priority on all component effects. Feature 4. Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure Consumption, 30 per second, Spectral Energy Points. Effect. When equipped, a warship subjected to any illusion technique, illusion array, or similar effects will autonomously weaken them by 20% might. No charge or buffer required. Up rank requirement. 30 strands of 0 rank floating land origin, 3000 spectral energy points, 1 kilogram of phantom stone. Ever-changing. Consumes 50,000 spectral energy points, changes the starship's hull shape, color, and temporarily renames the starship according to the captain's desire to a certain extent. The effect lasts indefinitely until actively cancelled by the captain. Buffer time 12 hours. Mirage Shadow. Consumes 50,000 spectral energy points. After charging for 60s, the warship will enter a Mirage Shadow stealth state. Unable to be captured by the vast majority of detection methods, active attacking, or taking damage will automatically disable the stealth state. Duration 10 minutes. Buffer time 240 hours. Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure. Consumes 100,000 spectral energy points. The Mirage Dragon Pearl emits a spirit pressure 1 level higher than current enhancement level, deterring enemy units for 1 minute. Buffer time 240 hours. After reading all the attributes of the Mirage Dragon Pearl, Song Chi's interest was greatly piqued. The Mirage Transformation Pearl, component into which the Mirage Dragon Pearl could be converted, was undoubtedly a top-notch component. It not only had a stealth feature with higher priority than Void Membrane, but it could also autonomously alter the warship's appearance and name. In some special circumstances, it could play an immense role. And that last, Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure feature, although merely a bluff in nature, once enhanced to 5th rank, could on occasion manifest spirit pressure of a 6th rank, thereby avoiding some unnecessary troubles or dangers, far from useless. Moreover, upon seeing the ever-changing feature, Song Kai even saw the possibility of later trading the golden Tri-Eye Blasphemy Cannon away. The value of the golden star-annihilating cannon went without saying, but it required a star-annihilating starship to be mounted, which for the current Kang Chong was far too distant. Instead of letting it gather dust in the warehouse for 1,000 or even 10,000 years, trading it for parts that would currently be useful for Kang Chong was the best option. About this, Song Kai had already considered many times, but had been unable to do so due to various reasons. However, with the appearance of the Mirage Dragon Pearl, he saw hope. With the ever-changing Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure and Spatial Anchor Point, 3 features, he truly believed it was quite possible to safely trade the Golden Sanctuary wondrous item without revealing his own identity. As for the Song family, he had considered it, but with the family's current strength and foundation, it would likely be difficult to come up with equivalent resources or components. Of course, the key point was actually that the family was also far from needing a star-annihilating cannon, and even if he offered it to them, the elders might not show much interest. Suppressing the jumbled thoughts in his mind, these matters still required careful planning to determine if they could be executed, certainly not achievable in the short term. After all, if he truly wanted to sell the Tri-Eye Blasphemy Cannon, he'd at least have to travel to the Yaohan Kingdom's territory, as in the remote corner of the Chengxing Principality. Lacking both financial power and a star-annihilating starship, he would be in no position to trade unless he wanted to make a loss. Pondering, De Guan finally spoke up. Lord of the Ruins Market, I wish to exchange for this silver legendary oddity. Song Kai thought about it, and quickly, with a flicker of thought, a line of text appeared on the projection screen in the center of the shop. What would you like to exchange for? Seeing that his words had indeed received a response, a hint of obscure worry flashed into Gwen's eyes. After all, this involved a silver miraculous item, the last foundation of their North Sea royal court, and it feared that the unknown existence behind the ruins market would have some unusual thoughts. After a moment of hesitation, it tentatively said, "May I use the Mirage Dragon Pearl as collateral and borrow the golden Tri-Eye Blasphemy Cannon for a period of time? Once the borrowing is over, I am willing to pay 2 red epic relics as compensation. For this proposal, Song Kai rejected it instantly. Only oddities of the same quality can be used as collateral. Of course, while the rejection was swift, in truth, he was quite tempted inside. Merely lending it for a while would get him 2 red epic treasures, which for the Tri-Eye Blasphemy Cannon, that might otherwise lay collecting dust in the ruins market for a while, was undoubtedly very tempting. However, the problem was that Song Kai could only reclaim items like Ruins Market Guest Token, Ruins Market Walking Rank, under his own initiative. If the other party were to default later, he would have no way of reclaiming the Golden Star Annihilator Cannon. By that time, he would really become the fool who passively exchanged a golden oddity for a silver oddity. Seeing the rapid response from the projection screen, Daguan wasn't surprised, and the tone of its voice immediately changed. In that case, this junior is willing to use this Mirage Dragon Pearl to exchange for all the red plus orange plus purple oddities in the shop, and additionally, I would like a Ruins Market Walking Rank with a 20-year usage period. After speaking, it waited quietly with anticipation for the follow-up reply, while Song Kai, who was in the free trading area, quickly did the calculations in his mind. At the moment, in the oddity exchange shop, not counting that Tri-Eye Blasphemy Cannon, there were a total of 3 red oddities, 12 orange oddities, 10 plus Earth Attribute Law Crystal plus Fire Attributed Law Crystal, and over 30 purple oddities. Carefully calculated, the total value was around 4 to 5 red oddities. If one included the 20-year Ruins Market Walking Rank, it essentially equated to 11 or 12 red oddities. At first glance, it didn't seem much different from 1 silver legendary oddity, but Song Kai knew that this was actually a rather good deal for himself. Because at the level of red and silver oddities, one couldn't simply calculate by a ratio of 10 to 1 anymore. However, even so, Song Kai still made some reductions. Ruins Market Walking Rank with a 10-year usage period, other conditions unchanged. Originally, he had thought about taking out the 2 law crystals, but on second thought, once the Ruins Market Walking Rank expired, the other party would need to top up with red oddities, which clearly had a higher value than the orange quality low-level law crystals. After hesitating for a moment, Daguan finally nodded in agreement. 10 years, hundreds of Ruins Market transactions, would be enough for the royal court to acquire a substantial amount of various rare resources. Once the trade was concluded, all the oddities in the oddity exchange shop above purple quality floated up and were eventually piled up in front of Daguan. This sudden change startled the dozens of alien species still in the shop, but as they saw the faint silver gleam of the Mirage Dragon Pearl that Song Kai deliberately revealed, all the alien races took a sharp breath and their sense of oddity instantly turned into a natural acceptance. Not long after, news that the Ruins Market Lord had recently traded for a silver legendary oddity began to spread throughout the Ruins Market. Underneath the rumor, the mystical aura surrounding the Ruins Market Lord thickened a few degrees in the hearts of all alien races. And that was exactly the effect Song Kai wanted. Silver legendary oddities could be traded as easily as this. The security of the market was absolutely guaranteed, so hurry up and take out all the good things you have in your possession. Although he didn't explicitly say it, this was essentially what Song Kai wanted to convey. Time passed swiftly, and soon the trade event drew to a close. Song Kai, as promised, held an auction for the Ruins Market Guest Tokens and the Ruins Market Walking Rank, ultimately selling 2 guest tokens and adding 2 purple relics to his now almost empty oddity exchange shop. After that, he selected 200 individuals from the alien species with the largest trade volume and issued 200 Ruin Market listing commands. With that, this Ruins Market trade officially came to an end. As all the alien races departed, the entire Ruins Market fell into silence. Song Kai once again summoned the Kongchong, loading the newly acquired Mirage Transformation Pearl of Mirage Dragon onto it and enhancing it to LV20 in one go. It wasn't that he didn't want to continue, but he simply didn't have enough titanium crystals. As for the fourth-rank floating land origin, he was hardly short of it. In addition to the 100 strands just synthesized on the spirit mechanism synthesis platform, the third-rank aliens who had come in also provided nearly 150 strands. Combining them with what he had left before, Song Kai now had nearly 300 strands of fourth-rank floating land origin in his hands. Looking at this component's attributes now, after enhancing it to LV20, its effect priority had reached 2400. The weakening effects on illusion technique, illusion realm, and illusion array had also reached 30%. As for the ever-changing feature, there hadn't been many substantive changes. However, both Mirage Shadow and Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure had seen certain improvements. Mirage Shadow consumes 90,000 spectral energy points, takes 40s to charge. The warship enters Mirage Shadow stealth mode, undetectable by most scouting methods. Stealth mode automatically deactivates upon initiating an attack or receiving damage, duration 60 minutes, cooldown time 120 hours. Mirage Dragon Spirit Pressure consumes 100,000 spectral energy points. The Mirage Dragon Pearl emits a spirit pressure 1 rank higher than its current enhancement level, intimidating enemy units. Duration 3 minutes, cooldown time 120 hours. Once the enhancement was complete, Song Kai was satisfied and recalled the Kongchong. Although the Mirage Transformation Pearl of Mirage Dragon component hadn't led to a substantial change in the Kongchong's combat power, it had significantly improved the warship's safety for the future, making it very practical overall. However, when his attention returned to the oddity exchange shop, he couldn't help twitching the corner of his eye. In order to trade for the Mirage Transformation Pearl of Mirage Dragon, the shop was now back to square one, with only 2 purple relics barely maintaining appearances, which was indeed a sorry sight. Fortunately, the purchasing plan with Song Yufeng was still ongoing, and he believed it wouldn't take long for the shop to be replenished with high-rank oddities. With that in mind, Song Kai exited the ruins market, ready to head back to Sky Rush Valley. He found Song Yufeng, greeted him, and took out more than 10 million strands of 0 rank, 1st rank, and 2nd rank floating land origins, entrusting him to continue purchasing the Starry Sea oddities and the several resources required by the Deep Sea Nagas. But just as he was about to leave, Song Yufeng took the initiative to stop him. "Your Highness, a legendary guild has sent an invitation. In 8 days, the master of the legendary guild will host a birthday banquet at the St. Roland Manor and invites Your Highness to attend," said Song Yufeng. Song Kai wasn't surprised. He had already received an invitation under another identity. "Decline it. I don't wish to join in on this hustle," he said. Behind him, Song Yufeng seemed to hesitate, wanting to say more, but in the end, he simply nodded lightly. Sky Rush Valley. After returning there, he resumed his daily practice of guidance technique, visualization method, and law comprehension among other cultivation tasks. The practice of guidance technique could only proceed within the ruins market, but visualization and law comprehension Song Kai both took place in the outside world. His comprehension of the laws had not yet fully transformed into Starry Sea laws. Although practicing within the ruins market secret realm wouldn't deepen the comprehension of the incomplete laws, it also couldn't transform his comprehension into Starry Sea laws. Time passed quickly, and before he knew it, 8 days had flown by. On this day, a torch warship quietly soared through the clouds and soon disappeared without a trace. Meanwhile, not far from Holy Star City, the Grand St. Roland Manor was buzzing with activity. As a large manor, St. Roland's reputation was already considerable, but today, the excitement there was absolutely bustling. Torch warships kept descending from the sky, finally docking in a designated area outside the manor. One after another, splendidly dressed noble torch ship captains emerged, walking towards the manor's grand entrance guarded by 2 senior cruiser captains, accompanied by their partners. Having changed its appearance with the feature of versatility, the Kangchong descended from the sky. With the invitation given by the woman, Song Kai easily entered the manor. Inside the manor, due to the birthday banquet, It was already filled with a variety of plants and flowers, and the backyard was even more gathered with numerous guests, celebrating atmosphere permeating the entire estate. Compared to the oppressive interior, the vast outdoor lawn in the backyard was evidently more comforting. It was also the main venue for the banquet chosen by Ansaway. Guided by a petite and elegant maid, Song Kai made his way to the manor's backyard. He didn't go out of his way to find Ansaway. As the main character of this banquet, she must be incredibly busy at the moment. He picked up a glass of drink, found a corner to sit down in, and seemed casual, yet his peripheral vision was constantly sizing up the people around him. Not yet clear on Ansaway's true identity, he was somewhat curious about what level of guests would attend her birthday banquet. Of course, this was because he hadn't deliberately investigated the other party. Otherwise, with the capabilities of the Dragon's Spine Commerce Guild and the family's External Affairs Hall, they should be able to find out something. As he observed, a look of surprise flashed across Song Chi's eyes. In just a short time, he had seen several torch ship captains of not inconsiderable status. For instance, the legitimate descendant of the Zhao clan stationed in Holy Star City, the president of the Lei clan's Chain Commerce Assembly in Holy Star, the direct daughter of the contemporary Earl of the East Moon, and so on. If those had already surprised Song Kai, the people who arrived next made him rather solemn. The guests beside him suddenly exclaimed towards the direction of the manor's gate. Lu Chuan, the sixth sequence of the Golden Horn Lu clan is here. He actually came. How is that possible? Though the legendary pavilion does have some power, it shouldn't be to this extent, right? The sixth sequence of the Golden Horn Lu clan is present in person. Could it be he has some connection to the pavilion master of the legendary pavilion? Hearing the name, Lu Chuan, Song Kai lost his earlier ease, his expression growing solemn. The information provided by the family on this Lu Chuan wasn't scant. He was 56 this year, born into the main lineage of the Lu family, and it was said that his flagship had been upgraded to a cruiser for nearly 13 years. At the time when he was in a second-rank escort ship, he had directly slain a half-step fourth-rank alien race enhanced by the Floating Land Origins rule. Now, his combat power was unfathomable. And it did not end there. Following Lu Chuan, the other major powers of the principality seemed to have reached an agreement, sending their successors one after another. One of the three prodigies from the direct line of the Eagle family, He She-Eagle. The eighth sequence of the Dusk Marquis clan, Annie Dusk. The contemporary fourth prince of the Chengxing Principality, Sane Chengxing. At this, Song Kai was speechless. So it turned out that it was only. No, it should be said that only he hadn't come. However, it was inevitable, as he had already agreed to Ansaway's terms. He couldn't exactly divide himself in two, could he? In resignation, Song Kai soon heard some grumbling from nearby. Didn't they say that the Dingai Song family had made changes recently? Why are they still so coy? Exactly, out of the 5 major powers, only they didn't send anyone. Officially, they say they don't wish to involve themselves in these matters, but to put it bluntly, they're just full of themselves, giving no face to anyone. Keep your voice down, will you? The intelligence members of Song family's External Affairs Hall aren't just sitting around eating their rations. I don't want to die, so don't drag me into this. Honestly, what is the identity of the pavilion master of this legendary pavilion? The major powers have even come to give their support at the same time? You're asking me? Who am I supposed to ask? Automatically filtering out most of the unfruitful conversations, time flew by quickly. After about several tens of minutes, as the star of the day, an elegantly dressed Ansaway finally made her appearance. With her arrival, the cheering around her grew louder, and the entire banquet reached its climax at that moment. In the corner, Song Kai raised his eyes towards the center of the crowd. There, Ansaway was smiling and greeting the guests around her. Song Kai noticed that today's Ansaway was completely different from the enchanting woman of the past. Today, she appeared exceedingly solemn, and every word and deed was filled with the etiquette of nobility, dignified and noble. By Ansaway's side were the successors of the 4 great powers, who would chat with Ansaway from time to time, seeming quite familiar. Especially Annie from the Dusk Marquis clan, who was gently holding Ansaway's white arm. It looked as if the two of them had endless topics to chat about from afar, and they seemed more like intimate friends. Furthermore, Ansaway was particularly different towards the fourth prince of the principality, often whispering affectionately with him. As time passed, while the liveliness of the place slightly ebbed, it did not affect the overall atmosphere of the banquet. Just when everyone thought the banquet would continue in this manner until the end, an unexpected event occurred. Humming. The intense hum of engines suddenly resounded, and a 1,100-meter-long cruiser abruptly appeared over the manor's skies. This scene instantly stirred up the guests inside the manor. All the attendees had been notified in advance that torch warships were not allowed to enter the manor during the banquet. The current action was evidently a blatant violation of the rules set by the legendary pavilion. For a moment, all the guests turned their attention to Ansaway at the center of the crowd, curious to see how the curator would react. However, to everyone's surprise, not only did Ansaway and several direct descendants of the leading powers pause slightly, but none of them spoke out to scold. There was silence for a dozen seconds before the fourth prince was the first to speak up. While it is said that a guest should be welcomed, isn't such blatant disregard for the rules of the banquet a bit too much? Upon hearing this, a slight shock crossed Song Chi's mind. It seemed that the prince recognized the person who had abruptly intruded. If that was indeed the case, then things were getting interesting. Just as he thought this, a cold voice replied from the cruiser overhead. "Prince, you jest. It is the princess's birthday banquet, and yet my master was not invited. Is that not also an oversight?" The cold response seemed to anger the fourth prince, and his glance turned icy as he retorted. "If we are to speak of such matters, then Anlock himself should be here. Who are you to speak so boldly, a mere servant daring to be so presumptuous?" With that, he shifted his gaze, subtly signaling the two ultimate cruiser captains responsible for guarding the manor's gates in the distance. Immediately after, 2-kilometers-long cruisers shot into the sky, heading straight for the cruiser hanging over the manor. In the main control room of the 1,100-meter-long cruiser, a sneer appeared on the man's face, showing no intention of backing down. Soon, the three cruisers climbed higher and higher until an intense roar followed. Inside the St. Roland Manor, the expressions of the guests varied, but they all had one thought in common. How could he, right here on Chengxingyang continent, dare to oppose a power as formidable as the principality? For a time, everyone speculated about the identity of the cruiser captain and who the master he spoke for might be. Compared to what the rest of the guests thought, Song Kai was more focused on another piece of information in the conversation. The princess's birthday banquet. Is Ansaway a princess of the principality? Ansaway Chengxing? Surprise filled Song Chi's eyes, as he had never before associated the other party with the Chengxing imperial family. Before he had more time to think, the commotion in the vault of heaven had ceased. Shortly after, the three cruisers descended once more. Seeing the overloaded energy shields on the two ultimate cruisers and the severely damaged warship armor, silence fell over the manor once again. It was evident that the two ultimate cruisers had held out for only a few dozen seconds before their opponent. With this result, everyone understood that the identity of the suddenly emerging cruiser was no small matter, and those without significant backing would do well to stay out of it. Although the two ultimate cruisers were only legendary civilian warships recruited by the guild in Holy Star City, they were, after all, ultimate cruisers. Capable of fighting against ordinary fourth-rank life forms, they had been defeated within mere seconds, which spoke volumes of the astonishing combat power of the 1,100-meter opposing cruiser. Amidst the crowd, the fourth Prince Sane's expression darkened. This time, he turned and signaled to a trusted aide behind him. Shortly after, a cruiser of the same ultimate class rapidly ascended. 2 minutes later, the two warships descended once again into the vault of heaven. This time the battle lasted a bit longer, but the result remained unchanged. The loser was the trusted aide of the fourth prince. To further provoke outrage, a cold, mocking voice followed. Tisk tisk. A bunch of weaklings, and they think they deserve a personal visit from my master? That was the last straw for the renowned prince of the principality. Spectral energy surged around him as he was about to take action personally. However, he was firmly grasped by a pale-faced Ansaway. Ansaway shook her head, signaling her brother of the same parents to stay calm. As the fourth prince of the Chengxing Principality, it was inappropriate for him to act personally, as it would only cause greater waves. Even though Sane Chengxing was detained, Annie directly soared out. Shortly after, an exquisite warship nearly 1,200 meters long appeared in the vault of heaven. Once Annie boarded the warship, the cruiser rose sharply into the sky, accompanied by another cruiser that was 1,100 meters long. Above the vault of heaven, the two warships engaged in fierce combat, with terrifying booming sounds echoing all around. Damn, they're obscured by the clouds. The ranking member of the current generation of the Dusk Marquis family is personally taking action. This is going to be quite a spectacle. Some in the manor sighed, and soon a ship captain activated a special technique. As the sudden beam penetrated the clouds above, the dense fog cleared instantly. With the fog no longer concealing them, the battle between the two cruisers became clearly visible to all below. As two incredibly powerful torch ship captains, the combat power of their flagships was astonishing, and it was evident that both had preemptively grasped the power of laws. Throughout the exchange of fire, the energy shields of both warships rapidly depleted. Although the battle seemed evenly matched, from start to finish, it was actually Annie's flagship that had the upper hand. Finally, with the activation of an offensive feature, one blast completely shattered the enemy's energy shield, and even the warship armor was significantly damaged. Seeing this, the torch ship captain's attitude abruptly changed. He repeatedly apologized, willingly admitting defeat. However, Annie was not prepared to let it go so easily. How dare they cause trouble at her best friend's birthday party? She was determined to teach them an unforgettable lesson. With this in mind, she willed her flagship to vanish abruptly, only to reappear moments later directly in front of the troublemaking cruiser. What's more critical, the main cannon of the warship had somehow transformed into a sharp, special ramming spike. Seeing the spike covered in orange luminescence, the man's expression changed. He instinctively activated the orange warship armor's active defense feature. Boom! Boom! Amid the intense impact, the man in horror realized that the protective armor's outer layer, which he had prided himself on, shattered explosively. Both the warship armor and the structure itself suffered significant damage. It was far from over. Annie maneuvered her warship backward and, using a special control component, fixed the troublemaking cruiser in place, preventing it from retreating. Feeling the gravity of Annie's actions on her flagship, which were clearly no joke, the man lost his former arrogance. Panic reflected in his eyes as he bellowed. "You dare to strike with lethal intent? Are you not afraid of my master seeking retribution?" Hearing his obviously blustering tone, Annie was unfazed. Seeking retribution. This is the Chengxing Principality. He gets respect when he acts respectfully, but if he doesn't want it, do you think the Stark family will really cross hundreds of thousands of light years to demand retribution from my Dusk Marquis mansion? As her words ended, Annie's flagship charged out again, ruthlessly unbounded. To be fair, Annie's statement and response were indeed very assertive. Everyone could see that the power behind this cruiser captain was not simple, but Annie didn't care at all, which made many guests feel as if they were on the scene, their blood surging with excitement. As for Song Kai, he was recalling information about the Stark family. Soon, some fragmented memories surfaced. The Stark family, also known as the Stark Immortal family, is a not-so-weak family within the Yaohan Kingdom. However, it was said that the Stark family seems somewhat overrated, with only themselves declaring their clan to be immortal, while others seem to refer to them only as the Stark Duke family. As he pondered this, an unexpected change occurred in the sky above. An unfamiliar cruiser, 1,200 meters long, suddenly appeared at the horizon, and an indifferent voice resonated across the entire Holy Star Manor. "You've gone too far." Immediately afterward, a mysterious halo emanated from this cruiser. The next moment, Annie's flagship that had been speeding along came to an abrupt and eerie halt, as if it had been caught in a fixation spell. Not just Song Kai, but all guests at this moment were somewhat perplexed, completely unaware of what means the suddenly appeared cruiser had utilized. It should be known that was Annie Dusk, the current legitimate direct descendant of the Dusk Marquis family, certainly not any ordinary cruiser captain. However, it was precisely for this reason that the guests inside the manor found it even more unbelievable. While everyone was unsettled, their thoughts varied. The cruiser that had appeared out of nowhere above did not seem to have any intention of stopping. It appeared to want to make Annie pay a certain price for her previous excessive behavior. Seeing this, Ansaway, the star of the banquet, did not continue to remain indifferent. Enough, Anlock. First, she used spectral energy to amplify her voice so that the words she uttered resounded throughout the entire manor. Then, a glow gathered on her brow as she summoned her flagship. After boarding the warship, Ansaway maneuvered it into the sky, quickly ascending to the side of Annie's ship. Anlock, continuing the ruckus is not to your benefit, know when to stop. Listening to Ansaway's voice, the man called Anlock aboard the opposing cruiser remained composed as he continued to charge the main cannon on the warship with his thoughts. Having decided to teach the other side a lesson, he had always been one to do as he said. At the same time, his voice followed closely. Ansaway, are you sure I'm the one being unreasonable? The Duke has already agreed to an arranged marriage with our Stark family. This calm statement was not concealed in any way, and as the words fell, almost all the guests in the St. Lorraine Manor heard it clearly. For a moment, the expressions on everyone's faces were incredibly varied. Clearly, this was a problematic arranged marriage instigated by the Chengxing imperial family. As for the Duke, Anlock mentioned, everyone also understood that he was not referring to Duke Rosetta, but to the contemporary Morning Star Duke, Hunter Chengxing, the peak of the 4th rank and torch ship captain. Otherwise, Ansaway and her 4th prince brother would not dare to so clearly express their opposition. Following these words, Ansaway's expression noticeably darkened, while Anlock on the other side did not care about these matters at all. In a short amount of time, his main cannon was fully charged. Boom! A fierce light erupted, and a terrifying beam fired from the muzzle, quickly striking the energy shield of Annie's ship. After the energy shock wave dissipated, Annie's ship's energy shield, although not yet overloaded, had already dimmed by a large margin. Seeing this scene, everyone had some speculations in their hearts. The main cannon aboard Anlock's ship clearly had a special shield breaker effect. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to diminish so much shield value from Annie's ship with a single hit. If it truly was as they speculated, the result of the next strike was obvious. In fact, Anlock had no intention of stopping, even though he couldn't directly sink Annie's ship in full view of the public. Given her status, he at least had to damage more than 50% of her warship armor, otherwise, anyone might feel emboldened to challenge his authority in the future. Down in the manor, Sane Chengxing looked pleadingly toward Lu Chuan and He Shi Eagle at his side. After exchanging glances, Lu Chuan and He Shi Eagle hesitated but still summoned their flagships. Being able to attend Ansaway's birthday banquet, they were relatively close to either Ansaway or Sane. Now that the 4th Prince Sane was seeking help, it was difficult for them to refuse. In the vault of heaven above, Anlock also caught sight of this development from the corner of his eye. His expression changed, the look on his face not too pleased. Although he was the legitimate direct descendant of the contemporary Stark family able to suppress single-handedly the leading young members of Chengxing Principality's powerful factions, if multiple legitimate descendants made a move together, the situation would be completely different. At that moment, another subtle spatial fluctuation passed over the sky. When the identity of the newcomer became clear, the entire manor was once again thrown into uproar. The 3rd prince. Indeed, the person who had arrived was the contemporary 3rd prince of the Principality's imperial family, the one who got along least with the 4th Prince Sane. Lu Chuan, He Shi, this is a matter between the Chengxing and Stark families. You two best not get involved. The already reluctant pair immediately found an excuse to withdraw, promptly calling back their flagships. Compared to the commotion below, the situation above in the vault of heaven remained tense. Even though Ansaway proactively placed her flagship directly in front of Annie's ship, Anloc's main cannon continued to charge without the slightest pause, his stance very resolute. Finally, a guest from the manor below could no longer stand by and watch. A cruiser rapidly appeared and then quickly soared into the sky. Boom! Anloc again triggered the main cannon. This strike took an odd angle to avoid Ansaway's flagship, aiming straight for Annie's ship, but it was blocked at the last moment by that suddenly emerged unknown cruiser. Whir. The beam struck the energy shield of this unfamiliar cruiser, nearly wiping out 3/4 of its shield value with a single hit. However, luckily, the energy shield component quality of this cruiser was not low, and in the end, it did not collapse outright. This sudden turn of events completely enraged Anloc. It was bad enough for the legitimate descendants of the Chengxing Principality's powerful forces to oppose him, but now someone completely oblivious to the danger had appeared, which fully ignited the fury within him. Click, click, click. The two main cannons at the fore of the warship suddenly retracted, transforming into a special ram with a glinting cold light. Under Anloc's control, the 1,200-meter-long cruiser instantly became a shadowy figure like a steel behemoth in a fury, charging ferociously towards the newly arrived unfamiliar warship. All of this happened in a mere instant, leaving Ansaway on the other side with no time to react. Boom! In the sharp noise of clashing metal, the unfamiliar cruiser was hurled thousands of meters away by the terrifying force, a massive crack appearing on its side. Against the unfamiliar cruiser, Anloc did not hold back in the slightest. Following the first strike, a second impact immediately ensued, not giving the adversary a moment to catch their breath. Seeing this, the unfamiliar cruiser was not without a response. Knowing full well the risks of interceding, they had a certain level of confidence. The defense features of the orange warship armor were activated, and at the same time, the engines operated at full load, attempting to evade. However, the result was that Anloc willfully retracted the control effect on Annie's flagship, transferring it instead to this mysterious cruiser. In an instant, the unfamiliar cruiser, just like Annie's flagship before, stiffly froze in place. Boom! Another violent collision ensued, and despite the protection from the armor layer condensed by the warship armor, the cruiser still sustained substantial damage. Yet this was far from over. Under Anloc's tyrannical gaze, a third, fourth, fifth. The continuous strikes from the unique ramming angle persisted. As time passed, more than 50% of the cruiser's body was damaged. If the attack continued, there was a risk of it sinking. Finally, Annie's scolding, coming from her regaining composure, could be heard. "Stop, he's a member of the Dingai Song clan." As she spoke, Annie had already established communication with the mysterious cruiser, her urgent voice coming through. "Little Bay. Sister Annie." Inside the St. Roland Manor, there was an uproar. The events of this brief period were already chaotic, and now involving the Chengxing Principality's last great power, the Dingai Song clan. It was chaos upon chaos. However, for the many guests who were more in the mood to spectate, their interest was heightened even further. Unlike these people, Song Kai, who was sitting in a corner, involuntarily frowned. "Truly a member of our clan." This cruiser had deliberately obscured its name, preventing outsiders from recognizing its identity, so Song Kai could not confirm it at the moment. Then, under Annie's persuasion, the mysterious cruiser finally revealed its warship name and proactively bowed to Anloc. "Your Excellency, Anloc's flagship combat power is indeed extraordinary. I am ashamed to admit that I am no match." Below, a flicker of surprise crossed Song Chi's eyes. "The Northern? Is it that kid Song Bei? When did he get so close with Annie from the Twilight Marquis family?" Meanwhile, inside the Northern's control room, the pallid-faced Song Bei heard a hoarse voice scolding him. "Now you realize the gap between yourself and those top geniuses? the opponent is a direct descendant of an immortal powerhouse. Even if they're only a fallen pseudo-immortal powerhouse, the Northern is still not capable of contending with them. Boy, you have a long way to go. Before the rest of the sentence could even be completed, an intense tremor once again came through. It was Anloc's flagship ramming forward again, and soon, the urgent warning tones inside the Northern sounded once more. The warship is under attack, current warship armor is damaged by 90%, the body is damaged by 75%, please repair as soon as possible. Opposite, within the 1,200-meter-long cruiser's control room, Anloc's eyes were filled with an icy coldness. A Dingai Song clan member? If it was a direct descendant, he might have shown some respect. But it is clear that this cruiser does not belong to any of the current direct descendants of the Song family. Thus, naturally, there is no need for consideration. As a prodigy of the Yaohan kingdom, a direct descendant of the Stark family, crushing an ordinary clan member of a principality's major power is insignificant. He didn't believe that the Dingai Song clan, lacking even a 6th rank, would actually go to war over this. It was precisely because he was certain of this point that Anloc did not hold back at all and was going for the kill. Anloc, you dare? Annie's sharp voice rang out but was completely unable to stop Anloc. Remember, this is the price for offending the Stark family. The indifferent voice emanated from the 1,200-meter-long warship. Anloc Stark used this way to inform all present guests, and even certain people in the Chengxing Principality, that even if the Stark family was hundreds of thousands of light years away, it was not something to be taken lightly by just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Just as his flagship was about to brutally ram into the Northern and completely sink it, a 1,300-meter cruiser wrapped in a 5-colored light shield suddenly swooped in from beyond the sky. In the next second, the warship vanished from the heavens and reappeared, already positioned directly in front of the Northern. Clang, clang, clang. Sharp metallic collision sounds followed as the two impressively long cruisers crashed into each other with a thunderous impact. Compared to the earlier Northern, this cruiser wrapped in a 5-colored light shield remained firmly stationary, seemingly unaffected by the terrifying impact. Below, guests exclaimed in shock. 5-colored light shield, that's him from the Dingai Song family. As expected, the Song family's protective nature runs deep. We haven't seen them for so long, and now that their kin is oppressed, they immediately show up. Haha, isn't that the case? Just unsure whether the Song family's 7th sequence is stronger or weaker than this Anloc. In a corner of the estate, guests casually chatted next to Song Chi's ear. And Song Kai, who was controlling the Kang Chong ship with a brainwave beacon, with most of his spirit transferred to the warship, could only absent-mindedly concur. In the skies above, Anloc Stark had a gloomy face to the extreme. Everything that happened today seemed to be deliberately targeting him, nothing was going right. Instinct told him that inside the territory of the Chengxing Principality, it would be wise not to provoke the several giant forces. As the saying goes, even a mighty dragon cannot suppress a local serpent. Moreover, the Stark family was not really a mighty dragon at present, at best it was just a somewhat ancient flood dragon. But the rage in his heart made it difficult for him to step back and retreat. So, in the end, the Kang Chong cruiser, wrapped in the 5-colored light shield, took the initiative to strike. Since obtaining the Purusha Zen Seal part, this was the first time Song Kai used the Zen Seal, external time stop, feature. At that moment, Anloc felt his brain completely freeze, and all surroundings seemed to halt abruptly. In the next second, the Kang Chong's 2 main cannons, fully charged, unleashed their fury. Mixed hollow extreme yang sword intent divine light. Soul extinguishing pupil light 2 attacks carrying a destructive aura consecutively hit Anloc's flagship. In less than 3 seconds, his red quality energy shield overloaded completely, and then the 2 attacks bombarded the warship armor. Due to the surrounding time being completely halted, the armor, unable to activate its defensive features, quickly suffered more than 40% damage. If a few more attacks were to continue, Anlok's flagship could possibly sink right there and then. However, it was clear that it wouldn't come to that, because the moment the energy shield component overloaded, a 3,500-meter-long Zhulu warship emerged in the heavens above. This Zhulu warship did not belong to the Stark family but came from the imperial family of the Chengxing Principality, dispatched by the current Morningstar Duke to protect Anlok. As one of the Stark family's current direct descendants, Anlok could not afford to have an incident within the Chengxing Principality. Song Kai understood that although this Zhulu warship did not make any other moves, its mere appearance was already a warning. A warning for him to know his limits and not to go too far. Responding to this, Song Kai obviously would not brazenly challenge the authority of a senior Zhulu warship from the Chengxing clan. The engines of the Kang Chong roared as the warship shot up into the sky and quickly disappeared into the horizon of the Chengxing Yang continent.